Hello, welcome. This is another Bookshop Talk, and I am here with my coworkers Eliza and Allie, and we are going to share with you some of our favorite books by queer and LGBTQ creators for Pride Month. So I think we're starting with Eliza's favorite picture book. So Eliza, what did you choose for us as one of your favorite books for Pride Month?
I was having trouble picking just one. That was the hardest part. But I really wanted to talk about books by Jessie Sima, who uses they, them pronouns. My favorite is not quite Narwhal. And this is a book about a unicorn who grows up under the ocean with a family of narwhals and realizes they're a little bit different, but also the journey of learning about unicorns, but also finding that happy place where everyone exists together. I was actually even a narwhal from Kelp is his name, from the book for Halloween. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Harriet Gets Carried Away. And what's so great about this book is Harriet has two dads, and it is not a big deal at all. This is just not even touched on. There's just some really wonderful images in it, especially I love the wedding rings that they're focusing in on the illustrations. Sweet, like the two dads are holding the same grocery cart together. I mean, it's just such a sweet family, but this is not an issue book. And that's what I think is so important to be bringing in to the home of this book that shows families and different kinds of love. That's what I have to share for picture books.
I actually read Harriet Gets Carried Away for a story time, and I had just one family, and at the end of the book, the mom pointed out to her kid, she was like, "Did you notice that Harriet has two daddies, just like your friend?" And this kid just shrugged, and he was like, "Yes, so I don't get why this is special." And just seeing the mom have that processing of oh, you're okay, cool. This isn't something that I need to really explain to you. You just accept it. I thought that was really cool, and seeing how perceptions are shifting. And of course, our picture books are helping with that transition. Hello, I see we have a kitty cameo. And Allie, what were some of your favorite picture books for Pride Month?
So I picked to bring here My Rainbow by Deshauna and Trinity Neal, illustrated by Twink. It is one of the most beautiful books, I think, that came out in 2020. There are a couple spreads that I just think about all the time. It is a story about a Black family with 3 children, and the main character, Trinity, she is Black, trans, and autistic. She uses she, her pronouns, and one of her siblings uses they, them pronouns. And it's just this beautiful family of people with all different interests, and they just really, really love each other. Deshauna and Trinity Neal are both advocates for Black and trans rights, and Twink is a trans artist of color who uses they, them pronouns. So it was wonderful. I love that the main character doesn't have they, them pronouns. As you said, Eliza, it's just about people living their lives. So it's just a part of the book. They don't stop to explain it because it just is. The main plot of the story is that Trinity, who is on the cover, is concerned that she has short hair. She has trouble growing her hair out very long. And so she explains to her mom one day that she wants longer hair. And her mom says, "Well, I have short hair. It's okay for girls to have short hair." And she said, "Well, I'm a trans girl. It's different for me." And there's just a great thing I'll read to you. Mom blinked with surprise. Trinity's gender was part of what made her a masterpiece, just like her autism and her Black skin. But Trinity was trying to tell her something important. Mom closed her laptop and sat down next to Trinity. "I'm listening." Mm-hmm. So she sits down and just listens to what she has to say. And they go on this family adventure trying to figure out how to create the best hair for Trinity to express herself. And my favorite spread of the book is this one of the Black family at the Black hair care salon, and they are seeing a full wall of beautiful weaves and colors and wigs. And I won't spoil the end of the book, but it's just so beautiful, and it's some of the best rainbow imagery, I think. That's probably why I chose it. Yeah. So it's just like a great book for neurodivergence, for Black voices, and for trans voices. Yeah.
It's almost like the illustrator was like, okay, how many rainbows can I fit onto a single spread?
Yeah, and just everything feels so cozy and bright as well. So you really feel like you're enveloped in the colors and beauty of the family as well. Like it just feels like a big hug.
Oh, that sounds really sweet. I like the spectrum of representation that we have here. Okay, so next we have our YA and middle grade picks for Pride Month. Eliza, what did you choose?
I'm going to start with a middle grade pick. It is The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. Also with the follow-up, The Tea Dragon Festival. And there's the third one is coming out this month, I think, Tea Dragon Tapestry. Love, love, love. These are graphic novels. They have a great representation of diverse characters. There is, in particular, a main character pair, a gay couple that is prominent throughout the book. They are the people who kind of start the Tea Dragon Society. And the Tea Dragon Festival features a non-binary character named Rin. And what is so wonderful, these are fantasy books. Middle grade lovers are going to eat up. They have all of the characters, they caretake these little adorable dragons, if you can see them here. And there's a different one for each tea. So chamomile, jasmine, rooibos. And they grow the little tea leaves off of their little dragon horns, and you make tea out of them. It is just a really wonderful world that they have created. And I can't recommend them highly enough. They are so sweet, they're imaginative, they are gentle and caretaking and really accepting everyone.
Is there a romantic element, or is it just people living their lives and their different expressions?
The Tea Dragon Society shows a little bit of the backstory of the couple who began the Tea Dragon Society. However, those are not the main characters. And then the Tea Dragon Festival does involve a romance. It's very sweet, very middle grade between this character and this dragon. But they are very, very much like speaking about professions of love and hand holding. So it's very accessible for really young, I would say 6 and 7 could read these out loud.
Love is love. So Allie, what was your YA pick for Pride Month?
So it's technically a YA because it won the Alex Award for 2021, which is any book for adults that is also very appealing to young adult readers. And it is the book that I haven't shut up about to you guys for like 2 weeks. So it is by TJ Klune, who is a queer man who, in the back, it's wonderful. He says being queer himself, Klune believes it's important now more than ever to have accurate, positive queer representation in stories, which I just felt so hard while reading this. I've been reading a lot of queer books this year, and there's always like an element of like physical danger or like the threat of like gay trauma at the end of the book when like the gay character is going to die and you're always stressed. But this is wonderful. Everyone is so amazing. It's really strong themes of found family. Everyone is very supportive of each other. It reminded me a lot of Howl's Moving Castle, where the main character is helped to grow by the other characters the whole time and just being constantly built up and encouraged. The main character is Linus Baker. It starts off very Terry Pratchett vibes. I think anyone who likes Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman, and if you like Cemetery Boys, I think you'd really like this one. He works at a basically in his fantasy world, he's a social worker, and he goes to different orphanages of magical youth and determines whether they are working safely. So he's assigned to this certain orphanage, and I'm not going to give anything away. But there is threat of like the end of days is a real threat. So he is sent as the trusted man to go see what's happening. He is an openly gay 40-year-old man. He's just one of the kindest characters ever, and I got very attached to him, and I actually might read this again. I can't think of a thing about this book that I didn't like. And I know that he has a lot of other books with queer characters that I'm excited to get into. So yeah, highly recommend.
What's this guy's connection to the orphanage once he gets there? Is he able to mentor someone, or?
So really a little bit of everything. The reason he's such a good social worker and the reason that he's hired is that he puts kids first, job second. So he's always very concerned with kids' safety and success, whether that is guided by the right morals at the beginning or not his own, other people's. So he is able to be like a mentor, a teacher, a friend, breaking down his own barriers as well as other people's and breaking expectations of himself and others. There is a very attractive queer professor who runs the orphanage, but that is all I will say. Yeah. Yes, but they both have to kind of grow into themselves, which is such a wonderful journey to go on, especially, as I said, worried about queer trauma when reading YA is a real worry. Hannah and I were just talking about queer books to some customers last week, and they were asked us, like, I don't want any books with unhappy endings, and this one definitely doesn't have an unhappy ending, and I think that's avoided through like actively caring and loving each other through the whole book, and the found family aspect that everyone comes into themselves and you get to go on that journey too, and it's really great.
I feel like when I was younger, the only queer characters that we saw in sort of mainstream pop culture were like the tortured artist and the person who wasn't accepted. So I really appreciate that people are telling more than just the ridiculousness that queer people have to go through.
Yeah, and going back to this one, that like they're not only do they know before the book even begins that their child is trans and she's already living her life, but like the minute she comes to her parents with something about her experiences that they don't understand, their immediate reaction is to say, this is not about me. Let me just sit and listen and do my best to support my kid, which is so wonderful.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Eliza, you said you also had a YA pick as well.
I do. I love to talk about Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Aiden Thomas is a queer trans Latinx writer, and the main character, Gadriel, is a queer trans Latinx character. I love this book. This book combines, elements of fantasy, magic, Latinx culture, as well as just being a really also beautiful love story. It is the main character. He comes from a family of brujos who help spirits pass over into the afterworld when they die, and this special power kind of goes through the male line, usually of the family. And so this main character, his family does not accept him as male. And when his family has trouble accepting his gender, he decides to set off to do the initiation himself. And it is spiritually validated. And I think that happens so early on in the book that it really is such a beautiful thing that is not the issue, that this is just the experience of the character, and is not in question at all. And it becomes, throughout the book, he actually ends up invoking a spirit that he's needing to cross over, who does not want to go. And Julian is actually a classmate from school who he ends up having a relationship with. And I don't want to spoil anything. This is such a beautifully well written book. The characters are so realistically well written, and it will make you cry, but like in a really good way. This is not another sad ending book.
No, everyone gets what they deserve, whether that's good or bad.
Right, I didn't want to make it sound like it's a.
But we love that. We love, the villain, whatever, getting their comeuppance and the hero being able to keep living their lives.
Yeah, this is a great classic fantasy, and I love seeing that representation in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
This is the type of book that you will fly through, believe me.
So that was just a few of our favorite books for Pride Month, created by queer people, featuring queer characters, talking about queer life. And of course, we have tons of others in the Carle bookshop. A couple of my favorites right now are When Aiden Became a Brother, The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag, and Hurricane Child by Callender. We have signed book plates for many of our queer picture books, so you can check those out in the Carle bookshop. We have stuff about queer history, the history of Stonewall, how to talk to your family and friends about being queer yourself, and of course our favorites, just books about queer people living their lives. The link to our bookshop is in the bio, so definitely check that out. And thank you so much for joining us for another Bookshop Talk Pride Edition.
Pride, everyone.